For the past 2 weeks, we saw Bitcoin fall apart drastically, and this week so far, we still have no good news. Even the Fear and Greed Index is giving us signs that retail investors are scared of a major crash coming soon. In fact, experts are still predicting it will go way lower from here. Today, we have 2 of them do a good explanation and predicting what's happening, and I'm telling you, you better prepare for this. First, just check the pattern Gareth is seeing on the charts right now.
Bitcoin continues to make a bear flag, okay? Flag patterns are important, guys, all right? In fact, I went over this chart here on, let me go here. This chart on Friday, right? Remember this chart? We talked about bear flags, down move, sideways chop, and then it breaks down. Well, if you look at what Bitcoin is doing, it's doing essentially that, right? It's just a tighter range. But right now, we have this drop and then this sideways chop. And again, it doesn't guarantee it, but most times the end result is a move to the downside. So just be aware. Listen, people look at me and they're like, oh, it's Gareth Soloway, whatever it is. But the essence of it is I'm just following the charts. That's all I'm doing. When the charts are bullish, the charts are bullish. When the charts are bearish, the charts are bearish. A true investor and trader never assumes. We always go to the charts. And by the way, are the charts 100% accurate? Not at all. What we do from charts, and this is why technical analysis works, but a lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe in it. The charts are gonna be somewhere in this range. All right, it means that 70% of the time approximately they work out, and 30% of the time they won't. 70% success rate. All right, that's again the goal. All right, now I'm able to get my success rate a little higher than that because I have a lot of tools, I have a lot of experience. But in general, if you're following the charts, what this is telling us is that 70% of the time, that's your resulting move. 30% of the time, it could go like this. And you have to be okay with that. You know, again, you are the casino. You are not the gambler. The gambler, the odds of a gambler at best, close to 50%. At best. Now, I'm not talking about poker where you can be a better poker player and you're playing against other people. I'm talking about casino games where you're, playing. That's the best you're gonna get. I hate that. Why am I doing that? I always say to people, if I'm gonna gamble in the stock market, why don't I just go to the casino and play by the book blackjack, almost 50% odds, and at least I get free drinks and can hang out with my buddies. I'm not in trading to get free drinks and hang out with my buddies. This is a job. This is to make money for me and my family. And so people have to remember that. Very, very important. All right, in any case, where is your target? Obviously, first target I've talked about, right around 25,000 on this. If it breaks, you're going all the way down here, and you're looking at $20,000 as a target on Bitcoin.
Next, we have Benjamin Cowen going through his pre-halving year analysis again, where he said before that in these cycles, Bitcoin goes up for the first half of the year, and then goes lower for the second half. And it's happening all over again, showing how Bitcoin and even altcoins are getting completely wrecked.
So you'll see that a couple weeks ago, we had our first weekly close below the 20-week and the 21-week, the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA for the first time since the beginning of January, and this was a red candle. So in fact, this was the first red candle that closed the weekly candle below the 20-week SMA and the 21-week EMA for the entirety of 2023, right? Now, if you remember, our thesis that we've been following this year is that, well, Bitcoin will likely spend about half the year going up and half the year going down. And our expectation was that, that April was sort of marking the beginning of a summer lull. We ended up basically dropping into the summer. And then in June, we sort of popped back up to sweep these highs, right? So we just swept the highs all the way back up here. We've then now come back down to at least these local lows. But again, the expectation that we've discussed for this year is that Bitcoin would spend about half the year going up and half the year going down. And it is fascinating that when you think about it, right? I mean, at least at this point, this top, assuming it is the top, occurred in about early to mid-July, right? Almost about halfway through the year, in fact. So I thought it would be interesting if, we look back on this and you'll see Bitcoin going up for half the year, and maybe by the end of the year, it'll be obvious that then Bitcoin went down for half the year, right? I mean, it's hard to say for sure, and of course, the path there is going to be very, very uncertain. And even though we spent the first half of the year going up, which is what we said the likely scenario is spending half the year going up and half the year going down, there were certainly some scares along the way. If we do spend the second half of the year going down, it might not be straight down. In fact, it's more likely to not be straight down. You might have a scenario where you sort of do the reverse of what we did over here, right? So over here, you would sort of go up very, very quickly, and then you would basically do nothing for a few weeks, right? Or even a couple months, and then you would move again. You could see something play out like that again, where Bitcoin comes down, we do nothing for a while, maybe we backtest a 20-week SMA, and then we go lower again.
If you check carefully, what Ben is saying here is exactly the same Gareth just explained. We can see Bitcoin going down, not doing anything for a while, and then go down again, just like the bear flag pattern shows. But that's not all.
I mean, the thesis of half up, and half down, it's just a thesis. It doesn't have to play out. I don't know if it's going to play out, but we've provided as much evidence as we can for it. And I'd like to think that so far, it has more or less met our expectations. One of the reasons that made us consider a half up and half down year are the similarities that we've saw in prior cycles. And in fact, how Total 3 was sort of advertising weakness in the market. If you don't remember what I'm talking about, if we go look at total market cap, you can see that we've only really just moved below the 20-week moving average. I mean, except for this fake out over here, we only just now moved below it. What's interesting though, in terms of the summer lull, Bitcoin swept the highs, but the total market cap did not, right? And we didn't even make it back up to these highs. So the only thing that was really moving to new highs out of the major large caps was mostly just Bitcoin. Even even Ethereum did not take out its April high. So it really does show you that the weakness in the market was identified much longer ago, right? Long ago, back, when Total 3 could not hold. And we suspected back then that the altcoin market would not hold. And the reason we said that was because the social risk is still putting in new lows, right? Higher or lower highs and lower lows. And if the social risk is going lower, then who's the marginal buyer of your altcoins, right? Because if you buy an altcoin, the expectation is that a lot of people want to see the price go up, right? Let's be honest. You're not here for the community. And if the expectation is the price goes up, then how can that expectation be met if people are leaving the space?
And this takes us to his last analysis on altcoins as well.
Our expectation was that altcoins get wrecked, right? So Bitcoin goes up for half the year and goes down for half the year, but altcoins get wrecked either way. And what's again interesting is how a lot of altcoins have gone on to put in new lows, even though Bitcoin's well off its low, right? So you have this example here where Bitcoin has only corrected back to where it was back in June. Some alts are already putting in new lows again, I mean, they're already putting in new lows again. And Bitcoin is still at 26K, right? So when you think about what the altcoin market accomplished in the first half of the year when Bitcoin was in a risk-on environment, what happens to altcoins if during the second half of the year, Bitcoin trends lower? Okay? And that is the reason why, I've said before, I think the altcoin market is far too risky. If they can't perform when Bitcoin's going up, then how the hell are they going to do well when Bitcoin's theoretically going down?
Ben did an amazing analysis, so you may want to click this video and watch the full chart analysis on his channel. It will help you get more clarity and better insights on what you should or should not do with your trades.